Welcome back, strangers. How well do you value your privacy? We are constantly being monitored by our phones, TVs, security systems, and of course, Alexa. But at what cost? TVs can now emit a tone during ad breaks that is inaudible to humans, but smartphones are actively listening for, which allows corporate entities to link which TV and phone belongs to the same person. It also means that the government can potentially play a tone through a TV and ping all the phones in the room, identifying each person in the group. And what about the phantom phone vibration conspiracy? Do you ever get that thing where you feel like your phone vibrates in your pocket, but when you check it, there's no notification, and you think you must have imagined the vibration? Over 68% of people report experiencing phantom phone vibrations. What if you didn't imagine it? What if it was a signal sent to your phone that made it vibrate so that when you removed it from your pocket, a third party could activate its camera and take a picture of you or your surroundings? Smartphone manufacturers are removing headphone jacks not just to save space in phones, but to force us to always have Bluetooth enabled on our phones for wireless accessories like headphones, watches, and Bluetooth beacons. These beacons use Bluetooth's low-energy proximity sensing to transmit a universally unique identifier picked up by a compatible app or operating system. The identifier and several bytes are sent with it so it can be used to determine your phone's physical location, track customers, or trigger a location-based action on your phone, such as a check-in on social media or a push notification. These are set up all over the aisles of shopping centers, so advertisers know exactly what we are looking at in stores and how long we are browsing the aisles. Strangers, what are you doing to protect your online privacy? Society is being manipulated on a psychological level through the media and internet censorship to make us all as controllable as possible. Outrage culture is like our 2 minutes of hate from the book 1984. All of this is to keep a small minority of extremely wealthy in control of the masses, while they struggle with providing for themselves and their families with basic necessities. We are taught how to think, what to buy, and what we need in our lives to make us truly happy. Our reality is entirely manufactured. The vast majority of people live in a psychological cage of consumerism, social media, and pop culture that molds us into perfect little citizens. Everything we read and do online is filtered to us through algorithms that are slowly reprogramming us and creating the new human condition of the 21st century. What will make us truly unique when we all start to think and act the same? Or are we just going to be continually divided by online hate and outrage, as our tribes are slowly broken down into smaller groups that are easier to control? Strangers, how do you see our future? Is it hopeful, bleak, or are we already living in the dystopian reality of 1984? In June of 2015, President Obama confirmed there are black helicopters, but we generally do not deploy them on US soil. Since the 1970s, black helicopters have been a symbol of an alleged conspiracy of military takeover of the United States and has been associated with UFOs, Men in Black, and similar conspiracies. Some believe the helicopters are used by the United Nations to patrol the United States airspace. Black helicopters have been linked to reports of cattle mutilation and enforcement of the wildlife laws. Media attention surrounding black helicopters increased in February of 1995, when first-term Idaho Representative Helen Chenoweth charged that armed federal agents were landing black helicopters on Idaho ranchers' property to enforce the Endangered Species Act. She said, "I've never seen them, but enough people in my district have become concerned that I just can't ignore it. We do have some proof." Some believe black helicopters are part of a covert military takeover of the United States, while another theory is that the locust-like creatures referenced in the Book of Revelation and the New Testament of the Bible were actually helicopters, which John the author had never seen before and thus didn't know how to actually describe. Strangers, have you seen mysterious black helicopters in the sky before? Do you think something strange is going on over the skies of the United States? In October of 1943, at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, the newly commissioned destroyer, the USS Eldridge, was allegedly equipped with several large generators as part of a top-secret mission to win the Battle of the Atlantic during the height of World War II. Rumor aboard the ship was that the generators were designed to power a new kind of magnetic field that would make the ship invisible to enemy radar. On October 28th, an experiment was carried out with the full crew on board to test the special generators. The experiment occurred in broad daylight and in plain sight of nearby ships. When the switches to the new generators were activated, witnesses described seeing an eerie green-blue glow surround the hull of the ship. And then suddenly the ship vanished. It wasn't just invisible, the ship had teleported. Hours later, there were reports that the Eldridge had been witnessed in New York and then at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Virginia, before reappearing later back in Philadelphia. According to classified military reports, members of the Eldridge crew suffered from terrible burns and disorientation. Apparently the ship had teleported to another dimension where it encountered aliens, and they may have even traveled through time. The Philadelphia experiment, as it's become known, is the most famous example of the United States government's experiments with teleportation and time travel. Yet the US government still maintains that no such experiment was ever conducted. The details of the experiment contradict the well-established service history of the USS Eldridge, and the alleged claims do not conform to the known physical laws of the universe. Strangers. Did a semi-successful teleportation experiment take place in Philadelphia on October 28, 1943. There's a mysterious monument in Georgia which gives instructions on how to rebuild society after an unknown apocalyptic event, and it also functions as a compass, calendar, and clock. Known as the Georgia Guidestones, the granite monument was erected in 1980 in the United States. A set of 10 guidelines is inscribed on the structure in 8 modern languages, and a shorter message is inscribed at the top of the structure in 4 ancient scripts. The guidelines are: maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Do not be a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. The mystery of the Guidestones authors and the apparent advocacy for population control, eugenics, and internationalism have made them a target for controversy and conspiracy theories. Strangers, do you agree with the Guidestones? The monument is 19 feet tall and is often referred to as the American Stonehenge. It is made of 6 granite slabs that weigh a total of 237,000 pounds. In June of 1979, a man using the pseudonym of Robert C. Christian approached the Elberton Granite Finishing Company on commissioning the monument on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans. He said that no one was to ever know his true identity, or that of the group that he was representing. Christian wanted the granite monument to be capable of withstanding catastrophic events, and be able to function as a clock, calendar, compass, and guide to future generations, with the guidelines being written in English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. Robert C. Christian appeared to have an endless supply of money to fund the project. By the terms of the legal contract, all plans had to be destroyed after completion and all information about him withheld from the public. When arranging payment, Christian explained that he represented a group which had been planning the Guidestones for 20 years, and which intended to remain anonymous. Many believe the monument was funded by a group of Satanists or the New World Order. At the unveiling of the monument, a local minister proclaimed that he believed the monument was for sun worshippers, for cult worship, and for devil worship. Others believed them to be a message of wise prophecy, possibly the work of a centric man of science. Strangers, who do you think funded the construction of the Guidestones? I've always wanted to visit them, but every time I've been in Georgia, they've been too far away to make it worth the time to visit. Do you think it's worth taking the time to visit this strange monument? The men in black are real. They always appear unannounced and are usually clad in black business suits. They warned people to give up their research into UFOs or face dire consequences. In many cases, the men in black have seen aliens, or in some accounts they are aliens themselves or some form of demonic supernatural. The strange men first appeared in 1947. Harold Dahl claimed to have been warned not to talk about his alleged UFO sighting on Maury Island by a man in a dark suit. In the mid-1950s, the UFOologist Albert Bender claimed he was visited by men in dark suits who threatened and warned him not to continue investigating UFOs. Bender maintained that the Men in Black were secret government agents who had been given the task of suppressing evidence of UFOs. The UFOologist John Keel claimed to have had encounters with the Men in Black and referred to them as supernaturals, with dark skin and/or exotic facial features. According to the UFOologist Jerome Clark, the reports of the Men in Black represent experiences that don't seem to have occurred in the world of conscious reality. Fear of the Men in Black has generated worries about the possible hostile motives of UFOs. Strangers, do you believe in the Men in Black? The Mary Celeste was an American merchant sailing ship that was discovered adrift and deserted on December 5, 1872. She was last seen a month ago when she left New York City for Italy, when a Canadian ship found her over 400 miles off the coast of Portugal. The Mary Celeste only had a few feet of water in her hold, but she was still perfectly seaworthy. They found that the ship still contained 6 months' worth of food and water. Her cargo of denatured alcohol was still intact, and all the crew's belongings were undisturbed. The only thing that was missing on board was the ship's lifeboat. Why did the crew abandon ship in the lifeboat? No one on board was ever seen or heard from again. Today, the fate of the Mary Celeste remains a mystery. Pirates would have ransacked the ship, and mutiny seems unlikely to historians. Some believe the crew were victims of an alien abduction, a giant squid attack, or even seaquakes or waterspouts that may have caused the crew to abandon ship. Strangers, what do you think happened to the crew of the Mary Celeste? Sir Isaac Newton is one of the most influential scientists of all time. He laid the foundations of classical mechanics, calculus, the laws of motion, and gravity. Yet much of his time was devoted to religion and occult studies. Newton studied alchemy, tried to put all the world's religious histories together in one timeline, thought Atlantis was real, and associated with secret societies. He owned 169 books on alchemy, which never were officially published because attempting to make gold and silver was a felony. Do you think he mastered alchemy and created a real philosopher's stone? Newton was obsessed with the Bible and wrote more on religious studies than on science or math. He rejected the concept of the Holy Trinity and used his religious studies to successfully predict that the Jews would return to Israel and have their own country again. Newton believed that Jesus was crucified exactly on April 3, 33 AD, and predicted that the world would not end before 2060. He was a reclusive guy. Some believe he may have suffered from autism or bipolar disorder. He would easily pick fights, and there is no record of him having a wife or any romantic relationship. Many believe he died a virgin. Newton was a Freemason. He was one of the founders of the Lodge of England. He was the president of the Royal Society of London for the improvement of natural knowledge, and a recognized knight. Towards the end of his career, he was known for his eccentric behavior, which may have been caused by mercury poisoning from his alchemy experiments. Strangers, do you think Sir Isaac Newton may have discovered hidden knowledge in his occult studies that has now since been lost to time? What is reality? Are you the true center of the universe? Yes, you, watching this right now. Maybe everything stops existing when you're not around. Whenever you go to a new place, it's created right before you, how you're supposed to perceive it. The people you encounter and interact with are programmed to say certain things so that it appears as though they exist outside your vicinity, but they don't. Also, myself in this video is just another thing created to waste your time. No one actually posted this story. What if this video right now is the universe humoring you, subtly telling you the true nature of things, fully aware that you would never truly believe it? Stay strange.